What's an injury you sustained, and lied about how it actually happened because it was too embarrassing? 1. I was drunk and fell in the parking lot of my friend's apartment and busted my face wide open at her birthday party. The birthday party just so happened to be the night before a second date with this really cute girl I met online. I went on the date and told the girl that a dog at work had knocked me over and I fell on my face. I work with dogs, and me being put on my butt by a Great Dane or some other huge pup isn't unusual, and she understood. While on the date, some guys came up to me and rudely asked what happened to my face. My date grabbed my hand and made up some story about how I got in a fight defending her honor at a bar or some nonsense. I could hardly keep a straight face while she was telling the story, but she sold the hell out of it. It wasn't until a few days later that I told her the real story of how I got hurt. My date and I are getting married soon. 2. I was once buttering toast with my face really close to it. I like my butter to be spread precisely. Then I sneezed and slammed my head on the counter, effectively knocking myself out. I had to go to the ER to be treated for a concussion. 3. I once punched a bowling ball because I was frustrated. It turns out bowling balls are pretty hard. I broke my hand. It was crazy swollen. I told my boss at work I slammed my hand in a door. It's still broken. This was like 6 months ago. 4. I got surgery a few years ago on my knees as I had dislodged some loose cartilage in the joint and also torn a bit of my meniscus. At the time, I was playing a ton of ultimate frisbee, so I just told people it was that. It actually happened when I was getting up from a chair. 5. I once fell out of bed and cracked my head open on a metal frame. ER visit, stitches, etc. I was about 6 years old. I still have the scar decades later. My mother literally changed our beds, even though we really couldn't afford it, to safer ones. The truth is, I didn't want to go to bed, so I flung myself out of bed to pretend to be hurt and maybe get to stay up a little longer. 6. I have a scar that crosses my left eyebrow. It looks cool, and I tell people I got it during a fight with another man. At least that's what I tell everybody, because saying my PS2 fell on my face when I tried to lift it without paying attention may be too stupid. 7. When I was younger, we dismantled one of those plastic football goals and reassembled it into a giant golf club. I was then swiftly hit in the face, causing my cheek to rip open. I had to tell my dad that someone kicked the football too hard into my face because I didn't want to admit that I was beaten by a homemade plastic rod. 8. I got a black eye as a kid. I slipped and fell into the support beam of my basketball rim. My dad made me lie to my other family members and say I got it defending some kids at school. He was pretty embarrassed at how terrible I was at basketball. 9. I haven't exactly lied about it, but depending on who I'm talking to, I've been leaving out some important details. I got my wife an electric scooter for her birthday. The day she got it, we went out for a ride. I was on my electric skateboard. It had recently rained a bit, so the pavement was a little wet, but not too bad as long as you were careful. I got the idea to pretend to fart and get a speed boost from it. So I made a farting sound and totally floored it. Since the pavement was damp, my board slid out from under me, and I went down directly in front of my wife. She didn't have time to stop, so she also fell. We both got some scrapes and bruises. Unfortunately, she got it worse than I did. When telling the story, I've left out the fart boost part if it's someone I'm not really close to. 10. I have these really ugly shoes that I wear around the house that my husband absolutely hates. I was taking laundry down the stairs and fell because of the shoes. I couldn't tell him that, because then he'd be right that my shoes are stupid, so I told him the dog ran between my legs and made me fall.